Hello everyone. Today we're going to do some more work on the aluminum CL72 Fender. Um, since the last video, we've added some metal here. In the video it was really thin and it was fractured, and it was just too thin to even put in stop welds. So a buddy of mine added a bunch of material. I'm going to have to do a bunch of grinding on this and then recreate the mount hole. But I think I'll get something that is a lot better than it was, and you won't even be able to tell that I did it, which will be nice. And also, there's a couple of rivets that are missing, and rivets that are, pretty well worn or bent. I'm going to be drilling those out and replacing those today. So we'll see what process that is as well. Well, here's what we got so far. Got most of the material ground down here to where you'd have to put some filler in, but there is a depression from the weld heat all around the weld. And on the back here, I'm really happy with how this turned out. This is almost perfect. The radius of the wheel was really similar to the inner fender, so it just did a great job. It's still proud, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to pound this up so that this pops up a little bit. I'll have to use less filler if I get the results I want, and then I'll have to do a little more grinding, and it'll be more true to the surface up here. So I'm going to try to do that with some of the dollies and my beanbag, etc. So here's the setup: just some wood stacked up to the height I need, and then I put the metal dolly on top, and then just drop the fender on it, and it's just barely sitting on it. There might be about a 1-inch gap right here, and now I've got what I need to kind of pound on this and force that metal up. That really turned out better than I thought it would. Pretty much that whole depression is gone, and you can see how high up the weld metal is. Now I can grind that back flush, and I'll need very little filler. I had to move the dolly around to adjust for exactly where the dolly was forcing the metal up as I pounded around that area, but it worked really, really well. The grinding is pretty much done for now, and I went ahead and fitted the fender back to the bike to mark out where exactly this hole needs to go. The circular mark in the middle is where I put the pen through the bolt hole through the frame, and then I marked out the dimensions of this oblong hole that I have to match. So I'm gonna make a couple of prick marks in the aluminum and do some drilling. I've got the right size bits, so we'll see how this turns out. After filing, looks pretty good. Holes seem to match up. I'll test fit it on the bike and then move on to the rivets. It's time to get this ready for a rivet. As you can see from the back here, there was a crack in this bracket, so I welded that up. And the crack went right where the hole in the bracket for the rivet would go. So I'm going to drill that out and then put the rivet in and show you how I peen them over. And the fit is perfect. Onto the rivets. Well, I drilled out those 2 rivets. This rivet's just in here loose, and it's a nice fit, covers the hole nicely. In drilling out this rivet, there was a weld behind it, and the weld was really hard. It was tough to get the drill bit through it. It took a good 20 minutes, and the hole was oblong to start with, and it got a little worse. So I'm going to have to do some filling here with some low temperature aluminum rod. But what I'm going to do just for right now is I'm going to install this rivet so you can see the process there. So what I'm going to do here is just put this rivet in the hole and then rest it back down on this piece of hardwood I have here. And I've got it shored up just right with the bean bag to protect this side. And then I'm going to take this stainless steel rod and just going to whack it a bunch of times. And it takes a few times to get it. So I drilled out those holes, and this one I'm going to have to fill a little bit, so I didn't try to rivet it. But I did put a rivet here, and it turned out pretty well. It's nice and sturdy, it's not moving, it's nice and square. Looks very similar to the other rivets, it's the same size. It's just got some casting marks on it that are gone from the other ones probably because of age, or maybe they were they had higher quality manufacture. I'm not really sure. There's some ridges here, but I can polish those down. So we've got this ground down, we've got the hole put in for the mount. It mounted up to the bike perfectly. That hole looks almost identical to this one, which is good. And that's how I do the rivets right there. So I'll do some filling in here on the holes that were added with some low temperature aluminum stick and MAP gas. And that'll probably be the next video. Take care.